Welcome to the Give Back Lab. I'm your host, Daniela DeGrandi. You've entered a space where bold voices, real stories, and unfiltered conversations come to life. Here in the lab, we're breaking bias, shifting thinking, and exploring the power of giving back through truth, vulnerability, and diverse perspectives. We celebrate diversity of thought and everything beautiful that makes us human. This isn't just talk, it's real, it's raw, and it's exactly the kind of space we need. We're unlearning, relearning, and evolving together. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at the Give Back Lab. Today, I am delighted and honored to welcome our guest, Dylan Huey. He is a content creator and CEO for Reach. He has 6 million followers cumulatively, which is very exciting at such a young age. Welcome, Dylan. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I had a fun flight this morning that I didn't even tell you about. I was in New York and my flight got delayed by 7 hours. So I finally
Oh,
landed
Lord.
back in LA at 5 a.m. this morning. So
Oh, Lord. So it's been a
I'm
crazy
running
day
on
for
no
you.
sleep because I don't sleep on planes. I can't sleep on planes. So
Oh, no.
it's been fun,
Oh, no.
but I'm excited. I
Oh,
canceled my haircut this morning.
no. That's all right. Zin. That's the new style.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what this beautiful company is of yours, what you're doing. Let's dive in.
I love it. I'll kind of give you the fun little rundown and I'll try to make it short. I've been in this social media industry since I was 14. So I started off as a content creator myself. I grew up in Silicon Valley. So I think I was influenced very early on by just being surrounded by technology. And I like to say that I found my calling in tech through social media. I was getting bullied in middle school and I built my following and show other people that there's others to relate to them. So when I was 14 years old, I was on a little lip syncing platform called Musically. And rather than just solely doing lip syncs, I was also live streaming for 5 hours a day, every single day for 3 years straight.
Um,
Just talking about mental health and showing other people, like I said, that there's others to relate to them. I went to USC, and at USC, I joined a student organization called USC Reach, which was a small influencer organization on campus. I scaled that into a national organization that's currently across 100 universities. So we have 5,000 students, 500 million followers amongst students, 1,000 alums, 800 million followers amongst our alums. And we're really focused on being that place for people passionate about social media to be able to come together, learn from each other, collaborate with each other, and really grow. And then top of last year, I was like, okay, this is great, but I'm graduating from school in May. So I need to figure out how to scale Reach even more. So we grew it out to a marketing agency. We have a talent management group. We have a ventures division, and we have a film and TV studio as well. So got a
awesome.
little bit of everything.
That's awesome. So what inspired you when you were 14 to do this, right?
Yeah,
Other than the exposure in Silicon Valley, there had to be a aha moment, right? What
yeah.
was that?
I'd say like for me, being someone who did get bullied in middle school, I was trying to find a place to find community. And for me, I know social media has such a bad rap about it, but I was able to quickly build a following. First week on social media, I gained 30,000 followers. And I think the
Yeah.
biggest thing, I was sitting down just like we are right now on this podcast and talking to 20,000 people at a time about something that wasn't really talked about as much as it is now, which is mental health, bullying, all of that. So I think that that's really what inspired me, was finding a place in an in real life situation where I was getting bullied and I wanted to find an escape from that. Social media became my positive escape, and it's been something that I've relied so heavily on now to be the baseline of how I meet a lot of creators, fellow creators like myself, meet a lot of industry people. I think that social media has really been a place for community connection, and collaboration for me. So it's been very, very eye opening about how beneficial social media is. Yeah, I mean that's why I got started. Was I wanted to find a place where I can really be able to talk to people. Where in person wasn't really an experience I wanted to relive.
Right, right. I I love that you found this passion organically, right? Through
Yeah.
something, through an adversity that you had and it helped you overcome it. I love that. I spoke at NYU earlier this week in two different classrooms, and we were talking about AI and the effects of AI in management and in leadership, right? And all of the ethics and things that come along with that. And I know through friends of mine and peers, and I have college kids and high school kids, and through their friends,
Yeah,
that a lot of people are using like ChatGPT as a therapist, right?
yeah,
And so while it's good that they have an outlet for expression, I still worry about that, right? I worry because of how these AIs are created and what we're feeding into them, and so what's your stance on that? How do you see
that's a great
that
question.
coming out of that space?
That's a great question. Here's my honest truth, and it's not just about mental health and AI. I think it's, anything when it comes to AI and the creative landscape or the human to human touch. I don't think that AI will ever be able to fully replace that human to human interaction. As a content creator, I hear time and time again people being like, "Oh, well, AI could take over your job," because you see AI creators nowadays, right? You see
Right.
creators generated with AI, and you saw one girl who went viral for going to the Wimbledon game, and it was like an AI model, right? I think that there's something really unique with a human being the at the forefront of the content that's created. You get more personability, you get authenticity, and you get something that you really don't understand because AI is not fully a human to human interaction. Um,
Right.
I believe that AI is a paintbrush in the toolkit, and this is not specifically on the mental health focus, but I know for a fact that AI is not going to go away, right? So on the business level, you definitely need to learn how to leverage AI and understand how to prompt AI best, because if you don't, then you're going to be behind. And the workplace nowadays is changing where AI is so vital that you have to use AI. If you don't use AI, you're behind. What I think about AI in the mental health space is, I think, a little bit unique. I think that there's an ever important aspect of being able to find things out yourself, right? I think self discovery is so important. And I think that AI has allowed people to be able to self discover themselves. However, I think that there's a time and place, right? It's like when you go to a doctor and you look at WebMD and you self diagnose yourself online, right? It's not going to be a
Oof.
perfect diagnosis. It's not going to be the right diagnosis, but you'll at least be able to think about something, and maybe it'll help you be a little bit more cautious and think through what your symptoms might be a little bit more closely, to be able to take that to a real professional if you think it's something that you need to take those actions and take those steps, right? So I think that it's the same exact thing. AI is not going to replace the average therapist. It won't replace the average therapist, and I think that there's something way more fulfilling of talking to um somebody in person, being like a human to human
Right.
interaction,
Right.
than using AI. But I do realize and recognize that sometimes you just need something or someone to talk to, and late at night, and you don't know what the resource is. Well, Google and ChatGPT is something that is at your disposal, right? So
Right.
a simple Google search or simple ChatGPT will help solve some of the smaller problems.
Right. So how do you think that some of these other social platforms contribute to that as well, right? So, Musically went to
TikTok,
Snapchat?
TikTok.
TikTok. TikTok.
Yeah.
So okay, so so we're talking about TikTok, we're talking about Snapchat. I know those are the big ones that a lot of the younger folks use.
Mhm.
And now older generations are getting into it more, right? So how do you see the evolution? So since you've been broadcasting and starting this business, how do you see from your 14-year-old self to now, how has it evolved and where do you think it's going?
The social media platforms, how the platform
Yes.
evolved?
Uh-huh. Social media
Great
platform,
question.
that platform culture.
Yeah, I mean, the honest truth is that as a creator, you're at the disposal of the platforms, right? The platform decides to turn off your TikTok account tomorrow, you lose some stuff, right? And you never really truly own your audience. That's the honest,
Right.
right? If
Right.
if if I get shadow banned and they decide to not push my content to anyone, um, then I lose a revenue stream. So I think that we've seen a constant need for creators to need to reinvent themselves. That's first and foremost. The death of a platform is not something that's new. We saw that with MySpace, and then we saw that with Vine, and
Yes.
musically turned to TikTok, and platforms like Facebook that were once dominant are a little less dominant. So there's aspects like that that really spotlight and showcase the importance of being agnostic per platform and thinking through how to build yourself up as a brand, not just on one
Right.
platform, but on many platforms. The algorithm is always changing, and the algorithm is not always in your disposal in your best interest, right? It's the platform's best interest because they want to compete with all the other platforms to get as much watch time as possible. And at the same time, you as a creator are simultaneously competing with other creators. There's over 39,000 creators with over a million followers on TikTok. And if there's over
Right.
39,000 people with over a million followers on TikTok, everyone's competing with each other for watch time because you as a human only have 24 hours in a day to watch content, right? So you have to pick the platform and pick the creators that you want to watch. You can't watch a million creators in one day. That's not possible. Um,
Right.
so I think that the platforms are always adjusting, and the truth is that a creator who wants to be successful needs to be able to adapt and to understand that there's only a small cycle lifespan to build yourself up, and then you need to think about how to sustain yourself, how to grow your empire, how to monetize in different formats, because you can't just rely on the platforms to give you money, right? You have to rely on other ways to monetize: brand deals, equity partnerships, consulting, user generated content, etc. There's a lot of monetization tools like Patreon. There's a lot of tools out there, and for you as a creator, it's about finding what your best tech stack is. It's kind of like a developer when they find what tools, what languages they want to use. It's the same thing for a creator. They need to figure out what the languages and what the tools they're using, and really think about how to turn themselves from a solo creator into something that's a little bit larger.
Right. Right. So what do you think about I'm going to say it's a sudden interest, but it just may be because it's hitting my demographic that for me it feels sudden, right? UGC content creators, right? So UGC is huge right now, especially in my demographic. They're looking for that voice of older people, right? Older,
Voice of
quote unquote.
authenticity.
All right. It's that voice of authenticity, but it's also who's the consumer and really trying to connect,
Yep.
which I appreciate very much with brands, right? They're trying to connect, to where the money is, right? Business is business, and I love that. So, what do you have as far as tips, tricks, advice for people who are thinking about becoming UGC content, right, creators?
I think yeah, I think UGC is it's really cool because you don't need to have a following to be able to make user generated content, right? And in fact, I recommend that you don't have a following to create user generated content. You can be just an average everyday person. And I spoke at the NAB show in New York just yesterday, actually. And someone asked a very similar question. They asked, with different generations, Gen X, boomers, etc. How do you think about finding those audiences on social media, right? And I think that here's the honest truth: every single platform has a different demographic, and ways to target people per generation is very different per generation. However,
Right,
everybody is on social media now, right? There's no chance that the everyday American is not walking with with a phone in hand, right? And when you
right,
have a phone in hand, even my mother, even I'm sure you have an Instagram or other social media platforms. Everybody's on social media, no matter your age. Do you have a million followers? Probably not. Most 90-year-olds don't have a million followers. A lot of 20-year-olds here in LA do have a million followers, right?
right,
So
right.
So it's about how to target those individuals, right? Maybe, if you want to target those older individuals, you think about paid ads on Facebook with, people who follow specific companies, and you can geographically target these individuals and, putting that out there. So I think that that's one thing that I think is really valuable. But going back to your question about user generated content, I think user generated content is at its peak in terms of people. Brands need user generated content. Brands need
Right.
to find different faces, not just one face. It's multiple faces to really show that their brand is a product that people and the demographics that they're trying to target want, right? They want to hit their audience well. I would say for people who want to become UGC creators, start creating content organically. Find the products that you have at home and start making content around that. Build up your portfolio. Once you built up your portfolio, you can start reaching out to brands or finding brands. There's a lot of platforms out there to find user generated content campaigns for you to be able to participate in. I'd say, there's a lot of UGC 20-year-olds. And, as you get older, the scale of how many UGC creators at this age diminishes. But I know so many brands are looking for new mom creators and, parents of teens and, elderly. There's so many needs for different UGC because UGC is basically today's radio ad. It's today's TV
Right.
commercial. It's the way that people get SEO because they know that they want to find people where they're at. And like I said, they're on social media.
Right, right. It's a one-stop shop, and the algorithms help them to target their audiences, right? So
Exactly.
that's really great. I'm excited for that. I love the fact that it's bringing authenticity back into advertising, right? So it's not so, you know, oh, that looked really great on that ad, and then, not so much in real life kind of a thing. So that's great. So tell us about Reach, how you created it. Give us the journey, the story.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I joined USC fall 2020, and it was a great time, as you can imagine. It was during
Yeah.
COVID, so I was a freshman during COVID. I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by a lot of high school peers. I went to a private high school in Silicon Valley, 166 people in my grade, and we had over 20 people in my grade go to USC.
Yeah, okay.
So we had a good feeder. But like any other freshman, I wanted to join a lot of student orgs, wanted to diversify, meet a lot of different people, and really get to know, the USC space, especially because everything was virtual. So one of the student orgs that I joined was USC Reach, and at the time it was a 40-member student org with 40 members, 20 million followers among the members, but all it was guest speakers in the social media space on Zoom once a week. Um,
Okay.
and as a freshman, I was like, I have better things that I could be doing. I could be playing video games on the side. So I did that. I went on the Zoom meetings, but I had my camera off, my mic off, and I was playing video games on the side because I didn't really see too much value of hearing from a guest speaker. And it was great, hearing from guest speakers from Warner Brothers and all these platforms. But like, do I need to be paying attention, right? There's no pipeline to really need me to pay attention. I was inspired my sophomore year to join the executive board though, and I joined as director of outreach. My job was to, funny enough, find guest speakers. And as someone who the previous year did not pay attention in one guest speaker, I was like, I don't want this club to feel like it's a lecture on a Wednesday night because
Right.
who wants to listen to another lecture after they've been in 6, 7 hours of lectures? Who wants to pay attention to that?
Right.
I definitely did. So I did my job. I found guest speakers, but I also found ways for us to start working with brands. And that semester, we worked with Puma, Boohoo, and BYLT Basics. Those were brands that we found to be super, super exciting. We're interested in working with college students. We did some experiential events, some gifting campaigns, and a few paid influencer campaigns with those brands. And I think that opened the door of what reach could be. Brands didn't want just one creator. And when brands are reaching out to creators, they're reaching out to one creator at a time. we were able to give them 40 creators at one time.
Right.
The semester after that, the second semester sophomore year, as I took over as president. That semester, where we typically had 50 people apply to be in our club, we had over 250 people apply to be in our club. Semester
Awesome.
after that, we had 400 people apply to be in our club. We accepted over 100 people, and it quickly became one of the fastest growing student orgs at USC. We always had a position on our executive board called Reach Liaison, which their job was to help Reach start grow in more universities. But I always thought that it really didn't do anything, and it felt more like a senior in college just wanted to have a board position. So
Right.
it would give them like the light board position. I was like, when I was president, I was like, no, if they're going to be on the executive board, we're going to have them do whatever their title says. And I like this. Reach liaison, grow to more universities. That sounds great. Let's grow reach to more universities. So we started off growing to different universities, starting with UCLA, then we had Penn State, then we had UPenn, then everything else trickled. So, that's been in the last 2 years, being able to scale and grow, and really hit the missions. And we have 3 missions outreach, and this is what we kind of focus every single chapter on. Obviously, every chapter is so different, so unique. And I think the great thing about us compared to Greek life is that Greek life is so self-isolating in the university. For
Mm.
are mixing with sororities, but it's at that university. Fraternities, fraternity at FSU, for example, isn't collaborating with your same fraternity at USC. But I think that that's what I wanted to build. I wanted to build a place where no matter what school you go to, everyone has the same interests in the social media space. So USC should be collaborating with UCLA, should be collaborating with LMU, because they all have the same passion. So we have 3 kind of goals. First, focus on community. We do a lot of content days, collab days, photo shoots, guest speakers. Second thing that we do is help our members gain a full circle perspective in the social media space, through industry speakers, headquarter tours, networking days, brand opportunities. And the last thing that we do is help our members get the tools, resources, partnerships, and programs to help them grow as an influencer, content creator, brand as an individual. So that's a little bit about kind of us on a high scale side.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love the growth. I love the grit because I knew that it took a lot of grit, right? I love the fact that you saw an opportunity and you took advantage of it and that you encouraged for other positions to follow in that same suit, right? Leadership,
Yeah.
it's excellent leadership, right? And great leadership drives great growth. So I love that, and that is a complete testament to your leadership. So that's really phenomenal. I th- I love that you have that organically,
Thank
right?
you so
So in this group that you had, what kind of majors, right? So you're in a college and
much.
and a university and there's tons of majors. There's business majors, there's communications majors, there's biology majors, right? Pre-med, pre-law, whatever.
Yeah.
Basket weaving. There's all of these majors.
You know
Ha
what's so
so
interesting? What's so
yeah,
interesting is that, we're not a pre-med fraternity. We're not a business fraternity. So what we quickly realized and found out was that even, some medical students might have a following on social media and might be really interested in seeing how the worlds of social media and med school can collaborate. We had, our one of our USC presidents last year. He was a poli-sci student, and he was really passionate about being able to merge social media and politics together, right? And I think that that's the unique aspect that we've been able to see with Reach members. Obviously, there's the majors that have more influencers than others. Communication school and obviously the business school being the 2 big
right,
ones, right? Those are the 2 that we've really seen a lot of our members come from those majors. Also, some acting and entertainment creative focus majors. So, music majors and acting majors. Those have really, we've seen a lot of students in those. But we have seen every single major. We've seen law students, we've seen med students, we've seen people who are interested in the education school. Really because social media is universal. And I think the big thing is that no matter if you go to university or not, if you want to have a following and want to do social media, you can do social media. You don't
Right.
need university to be an influencer. What universities allowed people to do is to be able to have a playground where they can be able to really discover what they want to do on the social media landscape, which makes a student organization like Reach super powerful, being that there's only so many universities that teach about the creator economy. And if they teach about the creator economy, they teach about it on the business side of things. They teach about it on the influencer marketing side of things. We're the only organization that teaches students who want to be creators how to be a creator. There's no
Right.
size fits all, which is why there's no specific major. There's no textbook that you can follow that says this is how the algorithm works. This is how you can grow in this niche. No, there's so many niches out there. There's so many ways that you can grow. There's so many platforms that every single person has a unique journey on how they get started and how they scale in as a content creator.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I love the fact that there's so many different students, right? Because it brings what I think brings success to any organization, that diversity of thought, right? Because you're thinking about it differently. If you had a bunch of tech people in a room, you may get a little diversity, but not real, hardcore, right? So the more diversity that you have in the individuals that are involved, you get that diversity, which is really phenomenal, and I love that. I love the fact that, and I don't know that you could create a curriculum that was a creator curriculum because it does change
You
so
can't, 'cause it
fast.
changes within, like, 2 months. So if a
Right,
university is gonna invest millions of dollars into building a class that teaches influencers, well, tomorrow it's gonna be obscure, right? And
right.
that's that's painful for a university that has to spend millions of dollars to create these education pieces for their students. They'd rather not do it. However, I do think that in the future you will see that because there's acting majors, there's a cappella singing majors. There's a lot of creative majors. I think social media is just another output of creativity. So I think the future there will be overall classes, right? There's things that creators can be learning, and a creator I like to compare as an entrepreneur. They are a solopreneur, and then they want to become the Mr. Beast of the world, which is a massive media company, right?
Right.
So I think that there is a pipeline to teach essentials and basics, but I think universities don't see this quite yet as a massive lucrative industry, even though this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. I think that there's still a lot of ways before we start to see universities take this a little bit more seriously.
So you collaborate, you work with a bunch of different universities, right? So you guys create this camaraderie amongst different universities and different places. Are you thinking about even taking that down to the high school level and engaging the high school, right? So if you're collaborating across universities, how do you start, how do you funnel and pull in high school students? And are you working in communities that may not have some of the influences that other communities have, right?
Great question. Great question. Let me answer your latter question first because the answer is very simple. Yes, I mean we have universities that are HBCUs, HSIs. We want to tap into universities and students in different markets because I think what's important is an influencer in one market has a different definition of an influencer in a different market, right? It's not about your following and what your following count is. It's about how you can be able to impact, and sometimes that impact can be really really strong with 2,500 followers. Sometimes it can be really strong with 100 million followers, right? I think that's the first and foremost thing. To answer your first question, I believe that social media influencers, evident of me and a lot of other creators that I know, is not about age. Age has nothing to do with being a content creator. You can be a content creator whether you're 8, you can be a content creator whether you're 80. And for us at Reach, we acknowledge that, and we know that there are so many resources that our members who are in college get that the older demographic who are not in college want, and the younger demographic who is not yet in college want. So there's two
Okay.
things that we're doing. We are working on building out non-collegiate chapters first and foremost, very similar to the Grammy Recording Academy, how they have the professional chapters, then they have Grammy U, we're going to build out the same thing. We're going to start it off in LA, New York, Miami, Bay Area, all the big markets. And there are creator communities out there. My mom actually started this organization called the Bay Area Creator Economy, which is a community for content creators in the Bay Area. But I believe that you get who you know to these communities. And my mom
Yeah.
does not know creators as much as I do. She knows industry people. I know creators, right? So we want to be that place for creators. Uh,
Right.
so we're gonna start off with that. And then we also wanna start helping build a franchise model for high school,
Right.
schools to be able to implement this as as a student org, kinda similar to Model UN. You know, we wanna build a place where these students can be able to find community in social media. The honest truth of why we wanna do that is because as a young individual who was a content creator, I saw that a lot of people who are also young get taken advantage of very quickly.
Mhm.
One, because they don't know things. Two, because they don't know their worth. And the biggest thing that we can do as an organization, as a national organization, is to help these students, help these young individuals, and help these creators know that they have value and that they have a worth, and that they shouldn't say yes to something just because they think that it's glitz and glamour. The social media
Right.
is glitz and glamour on the front side, but it's a lot of strategic planning and organization on the back end to be able to think like an entrepreneur. So,
Right.
did I answer the question?
Right.
I did it. Clear.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic and so completely accurate. And if you're doing anything in the New York area and I can be of assistance, I am here to serve. Happy
Yeah,
to
I
help.
was just in New York for the last 3 days.
I know. I wish I would have known. I would have met you.
Yeah,
Um, I would have met you in person. But yeah, so what what are some what are the top three takeaways that you would give to our audience today on on content creation or mental health or whatever it is, all of the things that your journey,
yeah,
the journey from your 14-year-old self to today, what are your top three important things that you'd want to share with the audience?
great question. I would say the first thing is that community is essential. You can't do anything alone. You can't
Yeah,
be alone.
I love that.
That's been my entire journey, and I think it's evident of me as a creator and me running Reach is everything is stemmed with community. As a content creator, at 14 years old, I wanted to build a community because I was getting bullied, and I wanted to find other people who were in a similar boat as me to really be able to spotlight and showcase that you're not alone. At Reach, I was able to build a community in a industry that is very self-isolating to be able to allow people to be able to come together, learn from each other, collaborate with each other, and really grow. Creator burnout is so huge, but I think community is so essential to allow creators and individuals in general to be able to succeed and flourish. At the end of the day, you can never do anything alone, and it's really hard to do anything just by yourself. So I think that community is essential. Second is don't be afraid to do out of the box things. Don't be afraid to be your organic self, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. As a content creator, as me as a content creator, there's a lot of times where I'm like, I don't know if this video is going to be a good video, but I post it anyways. And
Right.
the content creator, there's a lot of different ways that you can make money and monetize, right? You can make money through UGC content and brand deals, etc. But never forget why you're making content. And this is what I loved early on about the content space. And I think we've lost a little bit of hope here, but I think we can win it back. Is that everyone needs to have a story of why they're starting social media. If you're making content because you're hoping to make money very quickly, then you're not going to be able to win and succeed. The main reason is because people don't go viral until their 700th video. So if you are making content that you actually don't enjoy doing just because you think it's a lucrative industry, then you're going to lose hope, you're going to lose momentum, and you're going to lose passion very quickly. Stick to what you want to do and what you're excited to do. And if you want to make content around it, great. But if you don't think that making content is something that you get excited about, then don't do it. The third thing that I would tell people is that don't be afraid to scale. I think that people, especially in the social media space, well, you make the TikToks in your room and it's all casual and it's great. But as you are growing, figure out how you can grow. And the first thing that you can do is understand what do I hate doing? What do I not enjoy doing? Right? Do I hate editing? Do I hate videography? Or do I hate negotiating my brand deals? A lot of people ask me today, they're like, hey, I think I need a manager because I'm not getting brand deals. And the honest truth
Right.
is, if you're not getting brand deals, then you need to think about growing your following a little bit more, right? Come to me when you say, I hate the fact that I have to negotiate the emails all by myself and I don't have the time to negotiate the emails because I want to do what I love, which is being creative, right? Then I know you need a manager. That's your wake up call to, I need to get a manager. If you say, I love negotiating deals, I want to keep negotiating my emails and finding brands myself, but I hate editing. It takes me so long to do, and it doesn't let me get to reaching out to brands. I can't reach out to brands myself because I spend all these hours editing. Then hire an editor, right? But burnout is so huge, no matter in what industry, but especially the creator industry. And the best thing that you can do is delegate what you don't enjoy doing and focus on doing what you do great, your strengths.
I love that. Thank you for that. So I have a question in the category space, right? So that's great advice for anybody. I want to say like Nike, just do it, right?
Yeah.
Plug for Nike right there. But it really it's just about starting, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and it will get better in time, and you will evolve in time, right? And things will change and you'll try different things. And some things may land today that may not land tomorrow,
Yeah.
depending on the algorithm and what's happening in the world, right? That may affect it and who else release videos, all of
Yeah.
which is not in your control, right?
Mm.
So it's just about creating content and posting it. And then you're absolutely right. How do you scale that? And what is the outcome you're looking for? Right? Because are you looking to go viral or are you just looking to be authentic and share your message and your story, right? Like we're doing here.
Yeah.
So I love that. What are the categories, I guess, today that you see in that are trending, right? What kind of, because I know years ago it was like the TikTok dances.
Mhm.
And then those TikTok dances seem to have fallen off unless they've just fallen out of my algorithm, right? I
Things
see
off your
Gary Vee.
algorithm.
Yeah, I see Gary Vee all the time going, you know how to redo your algorithm, right? Go on, pick 50 people, like 50
Here's the
videos.
honest truth, and here's what I think of when I think of what's the best category that I should be making content of. Figure out what content you enjoy consuming. Do you enjoy the nature videos? And, nature your favorite thing? Well, then that's the category that you should be creating content on. Um, but I truly believe that you are your best consumer. So make content that you yourself would watch. If you would not watch it, then don't,
Right,
right? And that's I think more than just playing off of numbers and statistics, and we could go on and say that lifestyle is a big niche, and there's a lot of self hustle and self help niches that are starting to rise up, and finance is a really lucrative niche, right? We could be talking about that all day, and that's all fair and exciting, but the wider truth is that you are your best consumer and great content is great content. And every single piece of content will have at some point its own retrospective niche. And whether it be a really tiny niche or a really big niche, if you enjoy watching it, then there's other people like you who would also enjoy watching that same video. So that's what I like to say. There's no one category that is doing well. And each platform has their own things that are succeeding, and you can
right,
watch your own explore page to see what is winning based off the content that you enjoy. But I'd assume that the content that you enjoy watching is also the content that you relate to, because that's usually how it works. And that's the
right.
content that you probably would want to make, right? And that's really how you should go about it.
Right, and I love that that plays to the authenticity piece, right? Be authentic, really real and raw with yourself. Some people have secret hidden passions that they may put into their algorithm that they may do well talking about, that they, are super passionate about, but aren't out there, right? People wouldn't know that about them. Um, I interviewed somebody who is head of AI, data and AI, and you would never know that he is a musician, right? And he plays piano, and
Yeah.
how he got through COVID was by making up funny songs about the industry, and so he's very passionate about music. He was passionate about it as a kid, and then he dropped it for a little while. COVID gave him the opportunity to pick it up again, and now he's doing great things with it to add joy to the world, right? And so I love that, right? And he's creating YouTube videos and things like that. So that's really great. So it's all about really being authentic, and it may not be something that other people know necessarily about you, but about reigniting that thing that's inside of you that you love so much that maybe you just forgot that you loved it that much because of life getting in the way, right?
Totally.
So you were just at NAB.
Yep.
Talk to us about NAB and how your speaking engagements. What's that journey like? What do you do? What do you get excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I love that NAB, and it's a very interesting reason why I love it because it is so traditional. It's National Association of Broadcasting, right? It's why
Yeah.
would a creator want to show up to the NAB? Um, I'm on the creator council of NAB, so I'm in a little unique side of it, helping NAB really figure out how they should be tapping into creators and why they should be tapping into creators in the first place. I think that there's a few reasons. I think that NAB truly is a place where um, these creators have a playground to be able to discover hardware that's going to help them elevate from a solo creator to a little bit more polished, right? And you have all the big camera companies. You have Canon, you have Fujifilm, you have Adobe as well. There's so many different tools and products there. And I think that that's what the exciting opportunity is for creators who want to figure out what the next hardware that they should be using. The NAB is that place, right? There's so many conferences for creators in general. There's VidCon, Vid Summit, there's Creator Fest, there's Creator Hub. There's so many and at some point you have every single one in the block, but I think each one has its own narrative and own reason, and NAB has its own carve out. I'm really excited about all of the conferences because I speak at basically every single one of them. And for me, the reason why I speak at these is because I don't have a mission and reason and goal of why I'm speaking at these conferences. I think the biggest thing that I want to do is make sure that the next generation of creators has some tangible advice. And, the advice that I want to give aren't high level, open ended, loose replies. It's, how can you get nitty gritty into the details and into the weed of being able to scale and be successful as an up and coming creator?
Right. No, that's great. I love that you love to share and give back to that community and help to grow out that space. It's really important. It's really important to for people who have lived through it, right? To share and get that message out. And for those of you in the audience that are interested in this space, part of growing is networking, right? And I think that through technology and things like that, we've lost the art of networking. I know the younger generation has a lot, right?
Yeah.
They forget how to interact with people. And if this is something that you're interested in when you're in universities or high schools or even after post, right? Or in your businesses, in your spaces, if you're interested in being a content creator or in content creation, you just want to dip your toe in. Participating in some of these conferences, some of them are multi-day, right? I would encourage everybody to go, or maybe even sign up and just start taking a look at the agendas and familiarizing themselves, because I think that there's so much information. I also speak at a lot of these conferences in very much the same reason that you do, right? Just in an effort to give back and to try to I'm so enthusiastic about the spaces that I speak in,
Yeah.
that I love to share that just authentic reason why I love the different spaces that I love, and how to help elevate and bring people up and bring people along in the journey that are so interested in that space. So conferences are super exciting. I'll be at AI Summit in New York City. I don't know if you're going to be there, but December 10th and 11th.
Where is
If you're not, It's at the Javits Center.
I was just at
Uh,
Javits for the NAB show.
yeah, for NAB,
I
yeah.
heard
Um,
everything in New York is at the Javits.
It's
Uh,
at Javits. It's our biggest space.
exactly.
So AI Summit, December 10th and 11th. I will be there on the AI at Scale stage. So if you come by, I would love to see you. But anyone who is interested in AI should attend that conference, just like Find Your Content Creator conferences. And they don't have to be specific niche conferences either, right? I would
Yeah,
encourage people, and I don't know how you feel, but I would encourage people to go to maybe a content creator one that's maybe not in their niche. But sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes some other, maybe another niche is a little bit more developed than your specific niche, so there may be some information over there that you can leverage, right?
exactly.
And I think that creating that cross pollination of thought leadership, and sharing, I think, is what will make this continue to grow, and the specific areas growing, right? That's how you found growth in reach, and I applaud that. I think that's fantastic. So that's really great. I would love, uh, I welcome you to give us
Yeah.
some closing comments. And I know that you're exhausted, and I don't want to hold you up for too
No,
long. This
I
has
loved
been
it.
a fantastic conversation.
Thank you so much.
Um, and I would love to have you back in the future if you're
Yes.
interested, to just,
Always.
update us on what you're doing, maybe share some training or whatever it is, right? I'd be happy to continue to give a platform to get the message out.
Appreciate.
Although you have more followers than I have,
Hey,
but
I think the no matter what following, here's my conclusion. I think no matter your following, everyone has influence. And I just said
yeah,
this at the NAB show.
I love that.
If you have a small following, you might just have, the people be that you are influencing be your parents or your kids or the colleagues around you. But everyone's an influencer. So let's get rid of the word influencer because everybody
Yeah,
in the world is an influencer, right? And then we can think about content creation side on a separate thing. And not everyone's a content creator, but everyone is an influencer. And I think that that's what you should take home. I believe that everybody should have a public presence. Social media is so huge right now. And if you don't have a public presence, people aren't going to be able to find you. And I think that we're in a place where communication is not just the region in your hometown, it's global and everyone's able to connect with each other nowadays. So
yeah,
figure out how to build yourself, whether you have 100 followers or you have 500 followers, to really be able to have that direct one-on-one communication with those who you are able to influence. The reason why I believe that having a following is important and posting, even if it's just on LinkedIn, is that let's use the economy for example, and the job market is fluctuating up and down. If tomorrow you lose your job, where's the first place that you're going to turn to find a job? Your peers, your friends, right? What
right,
I would do is I would post on LinkedIn and say, "Hey, does anyone have any warm leads for me? Because I'm looking for a new job." Well, if you don't have anyone that you're connected to, if you don't have a public presence, why is anyone going to be able to help you? Or how are people going to be able to help you? How are people going to be able to find you? How are people going to be able to reach you? They're not going to. You don't need to have 1 million followers. You don't need to have 6 million followers like me. You just need to have a community, a tight knit community where you can be able to be there, be with them, and be present. And I think that
right,
that's where we are in the social media space. Followers are dead, in my opinion. Followers don't matter. It's about how much you're able to engage your community. And I know I've used this word community time and time again, but I'm using it in a whole different perspective now. I'm saying that community is essential. Your small knit micro community of individuals who are in your hometown, it is important for you to connect with them, to be there for them. And it's not just taking a phone call every single day for your friend and with your friend because you wanted to catch up. It's being there online and around them because the world is much, much bigger now than it was 20 years ago. Um, that's, I think, my closing thoughts. But also, like, Reach is very cool. Follow us,
Yeah.
dive into us. Go Google Dylan Huey on the internet, and you'll find some stuff out about Reach. And we do a lot with brands and creators. We help a lot of brands learn how to translate the language of the creator space so that they can be successful in influencer marketing and social media marketing, college marketing. We work with over 100 creators with over 1 million followers, be able to figure out how they can monetize, scale, and grow. So we're doing a lot on the Reach side, but yeah, also follow us.
I love that. I love that. Absolutely. Huey for anybody looking for his spelling on his last name, Dylan, Dylan.
Not
Connect with him on LinkedIn.
Dillan. There's so many different
Is
ways.
it?
No, it's Dylan. I'm just saying
Yes,
there's so
Dylan.
many
I
different
had it
ways.
right.
There's so many different ways that people spell Dylan that it gets
Yes.
confusing. Don't mess it up.
Yes, Dylan, everybody. But yes, connect with him on LinkedIn, follow him, reach out for information on Reach. And do you guys have a mentorship program, like a coaching mentorship program that's kind of like a incubator, a kind of place that people can do, like just drop in and ask a question kind of a thing?
There isn't yet, but it's in the
Ah,
works, and we own the domain creatorwebinars.com, and in the future,
awesome.
that will be an active domain where we'll be able to help anyone and everyone learn about the creator space. Is it
I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining
Of
us
course.
today on the Give Back Lab. It has been such a pleasure. I look forward to chatting with you again in the future and have a fantastic day.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today at the Give Back Lab. It has been my pleasure to host Dylan Huey, and I look forward to our next episode. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us today in the Give Back Lab. If today's conversation moved you, challenged you, or made you just feel seen, share it forward. That's how change begins. Until next time, keep showing up, keep speaking truth, and giving back in your own way. The lab is always open.